Okay, so let's try some of these challenge problems and see how we can do. So in a dream, Blair is confined to a coordinate plane moving along a line at a constant speed. Blair's position at 4 a.m. is 2,5, at 6 a.m. at 6,3. What's his position at 8:15 a.m.? So if we can kind of write some of this stuff down. So we've got at 4 a.m., he's at 2,5. At 6 a.m., he's at 6,3. So what's happening with the x and the y values? You should see that the x value is increasing by 4, the y value is increasing by 2. So when we get to 8 a.m., next 2 hours, because we're going also by 2 hours, so at 8 a.m., we know that he's now going to be at 10, 1. So we want 8:15 or a quarter of an hour. So let's see if we can change quarter of hours, just hours, into minutes. So would you guys agree, and I'm sure that you would, that 2 hours is just the same as 120 minutes? So if that's the case, then we can figure out how much he's going to move in a quarter of an hour, which is just 15 minutes. So let's look at the x coordinates for a second. With the x coordinates, we know that if he is moving four position, I'm not even sure how to even word that, but he's moving along the line, if it's moving 4 places, let's say, in 120 minutes, that's 2 hours. Well then, how far is he moving in just 15 minutes? When you cross multiply and divide, you're going to get x to be, or you really get 120x is going to equal out to 60, and x is just going to be 0.5. Let's go for the y's now. So in terms of the y's, we know what's happening here is that he's moving 2 places in every 2 hours. So he's subtracting by 2, but remember, distance moving is always going to be positive. So we've got movement of 2 places in 120 minutes. So how much movement will we get in 15 minutes? When you cross multiply here, 120x equals 30. You divide both sides by 120, and x is 0.25. So that means when all is said and done with, at 8:15, we're going to have to add, in this case, by 0.5 for the x's, 10.5. But for the y's, this is to be y, sorry, y, y, y. But for the y's, we're going to have to subtract by a quarter, 0.75. So this is his location at 8:15 when the alarm goes off. Okay. Let's try the next one. This one, it says a and b are constants and y equals a plus b over x. And if y is 1 when x is -1 and y is 5 when x is -5, what's the sum of a and b? It's just a matter of substitution. So we can substitute for the first one. It says if y equals 1 when x is -1, then we know that y equals 1 equals a plus b over x, -1. The other equation, we know that y equals, or 5 equals, a plus b over x, which is -5. Well, another way to rewrite this blue equation, anything divided by a -1 is just the negative of that piece. So make sure that you're okay with what we're doing here. 1 is just a minus b. Okay, so b divided by -1 is just -b. I'm going to leave that as is. I don't have any fractions. But in the second one, I do have a fraction. I want to get rid of this -5 in the denominator. So I know that I can multiply the entire equation through by a -5. What's going to come out here is -25 equals -5a plus b. Make sure you go that you're distributing everything through. Well, these two equations, I can just set up a system. The system being this: if 1 equals a minus b, and -25 equals -5a plus b, then by addition or elimination, you get -24 equals -4a, because the b is eliminated. And then if I divide both sides by -4, 6 equals a. Not bad. Now let's substitute in to find what b is. why not just substitute in this right here? If 6 equals A, then 6 minus 5 equals 1, which means B equals 5. 6 minus 5 equals 1, which means A plus B equals 6 plus 5, and there's your answer, 11. Okay, last one. So a lot to read here, but bottom line, there's a mathematician who lived back in 250 BC. Due to an admirer, he decided to describe his life as an algebraic riddle. So we want to find out something about his entire life. It's telling you about portions of his life. So if we let X be his total life, then we can figure out how old he is, because we know that his youth lasted a sixth of his life, 1/6 of his life. He had his first beard in the next a 12th of his life. Well, we've got to add all of his lives together, if you will, to get his total life. At the end of the following a 7th of his life, he got married. So now another 7th of his life has gone by. 5 years from there, his son was born. So we're going to add 5 years to that. His son lived exactly half of his life. So now we've got half of his life. And then he died 4 years after the death of his son. So then we've got another 4 years that we need to add. All of this is going to equal out his entire life. You can solve this by multiplying through by a common denominator. I have on my answer key how I just did the fractions and made it a little bit more simplified, but I think I will show you how to multiply through by the common denominator. So 6, 12, 7, and 2. The common denominator is 84, which actually happens to be his age. But let's show you how this works. If you multiply everything through by 84, again, follow along the calculator, whatever you need to do. So 84 divided by 6 times 1 becomes 14x, plus 84 divided by 12 times 1 becomes plus 7x. 84 divided by 7 times 1 becomes 12x. 84 times 5 becomes 420. 84 divided by 2 becomes 42x. 84 times 4 equals 336, and 84 times x equals 84x. When you combine all of the like terms, which means you're going to combine all of the x's, and then you're going to combine all of the non-x's, what's going to happen here, just bring this up a little bit. So by combining all of the like terms, you end up with 75x plus 756 equals 84x. Subtract 75 on both sides. 756 equals 9x. Divide both sides by 9, and 84 equals x. So this guy was 84 years old. Hopefully that helps. Let me get this whole thing up, and we're done.